like to introduce Talia Camozzi. She's a registered counselor here in Revelstoke. She also works online. Thanks for coming here, Talia.
Thanks so much for having me.
We'll just lead up with a nice, easy question. I've lost my job. My partner's lost my job. There's no income in the house, and we're really struggling. But everybody else is struggling as well that we know.
I'm losing the Enterprise. Ship is hanging on and on.
It's some challenging times. So, what are some tools people can use to cope with this? Because it feels like the entire ship is sinking right now.
It's extraordinarily difficult, and we're being told, don't panic, just take precautions, everything's going to be okay. There's a lot of messages from the government about rolling out different programs, which is helpful to hear about, but they're not here yet, right? They're all aiming for early April, and even then there'll probably be a bit of a lag. So one of the things that I think is very important during this time of total disruption, really, to lots of people's lives, is trying to gain a certain amount of internal regulation, because our external world is so chaotic. And I know that sometimes that's the hardest time to go internal, but what we need to do, I think, is get ourselves moving. Oh yeah, the rhythm of my life. And get ourselves regulated, because we can either go very high into some hyper arousal, maybe getting anxiety, or getting very low, which then looks like shutting down, wanting naps, those kinds of things. And so we want to get ourselves into the middle. And one of the best ways to do that is to feel that physicality of our bodies, to get our bodies moving, maybe going for a little walk around the neighborhood, something like that. And also to get some rhythm in our body, because we can get things moving again. When the ship goes down, we've got to find ourselves again and find our own center. And that is really difficult. And there's no mincing words that is one of the hardest things that people are going to be dealing with, is this super uncertainty around what to do, where to go, what is next. And so getting our internal self okay while we navigate all these external variables is going to be super important.
And what if I'm skyrocketing and like hyper aroused and like I'm way up there in the ceiling? Like I don't suppose there's a kill switch that can just help drop it down, or like can you stop it when it's that high, or do you have to catch it before it gets that high?
Simple answer is both. So you want to catch it as early as possible with anxiety. Anxiety, I think, is a beast that comes looking for you sometimes. I'm burning up! And if we ignore anxiety, quite often anxiety increases and increases and increases until we don't ignore it. So the earlier we catch it, the more manageable it is. But let's say it is skyrocketed. Let's say it's right up there. If you have the ability, and if we're all isolated and at home, is to lay down on the ground, put your feet up against the wall. Your body has to work a lot less hard when it's doing that. Put your one hand on your chest, the other hand on your stomach. Feel your breath go in and out. Not necessarily modifying your breath. I've noticed that can often make things worse. But if you are trying to do anything with breathing, focusing on the exhale being longer than the inhale, and then also really looking around very slowly at your environment, wherever you are, because what that ends up doing is it makes us look for safety. And if we're darting around, we're more like a deer looking for the predator coming for us. But if we look slowly, it's called orienting, what ends up happening is our system ends up looking for safety. So you want to find the thing that catches your eye and let yourself take it fully in, and that really will help to de-escalate a lot of that anxiety. It's a great kill switch.
And then other than Red Bull and coffee, when I'm in the basement or feeling myself starting to go there, is it kind of similar where you got a two-prong attack for that? And
yeah.
Any tricks?
So one trick is that for some people coming out of the basement, you're going to rock it up really high.
I got a cake! I got a cake!
And so that's very uncomfortable. And what a lot of people will end up doing is smashing it back down. So we don't want to do that. One, I want you to know, if you come out of that hypo and go hyper, do the same things for hyperarousal, the high anxiety. But to get out of hypo, again, we want to get that movement in our system. We want to feel that strength of our body. We want things to move.
I know you want to say it.
To me, this is very fascinating. But to me, at that point, we're working in a part of our nervous system that is unmyelinated, which basically means it's the slowest moving thing we've got for our instincts. And we want our instincts to raise up and out of that unmyelinated spot and into something that has some traction, has some movement. So pretty much anything that you do with action or movement is going to be helpful. The things not to do: don't have a nap, don't just watch Netflix, don't scroll your social media. It is movement that you want, and you can do that simply with getting a little bit of rhythm. In your feet, I think that's always a good one. That'll upregulate you quite quickly. Even a little bit of like gentle rocking to say the heartbeat will upregulate a body.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Talia. I really appreciate those tools and tactics, and hopefully that'll help people be just aware of going too high, too low, and what to do if they see it going that way, or if it's too late and already there, how to get out of that.
I've got command. I've got command. I've got command. Correct, Captain.